And we're with Mrs. Waters. She is on the Napa Valley Unified School District School Board, and she is a newly elected official there. Thank you for joining us today.
And thank you for inviting me back to Napa High.
Thank you. So besides school board, what is some of your past experience?
Well, I was born in Berkeley, California, and I went to high school in Charleston, West Virginia, and came back to California when I was 18, eventually graduated from Berkeley. I also traveled a lot, got married, had 2 children, worked for a newspaper, sewed costumes for a theater company, baked for a restaurant, sold yardage at Britex Fabrics during a recession, also for fun at Satin Moon Fabrics. I taught school too in San Francisco where I got my teaching credential, and eventually washed up at Napa High School, which is actually the best job I've ever had, teaching English here.
So what made you decide to pursue the elected position you went for?
Well, I had been a constant attendee at school board meetings for many years, ever since No Child Left Behind. You can look it up. And I thought I could make a contribution. And probably most importantly, no one else was running for the position, David. So it was sort of, if I don't do it, who will? That's why I did it.
You could invite any 3 people out to dinner. Who would you invite and why?
Oh, I love questions like that. Only with me, it's usually 10 or 12 people. I would invite them over to my house because I'm a really good cook and they'd love it. And I have to pick dead people because there's always a chance, in this life, that I will get to meet Toni Morrison or Louise Erdrich or David Souter. So, I'm kind of, I'll go with the dead people. How about Sitting Bull, the famous Hunk Papa Sioux Lakota chief and warrior, and Mark Twain. We all know him because they both were around during the last Gilded Age, and we're in the middle of another Gilded Age. So I think they'd have a really interesting take on it. And then I'd like to invite the writer Zora Neale Hurston because she's funny, very funny, great company. And it would be nice for her to see that she's remembered today because when she died, she was kind of forgotten. 1960, her grave was covered over with grass, and another writer, Alice Walker, kind of revived her reputation. And she's a lot of fun. And, I'm kind of a rule breaker, so I'd probably somehow figure out how to squeeze in Queen Elizabeth I in there, a very powerful woman. And I'm sure it would be fun to have someone from the Renaissance look at us and see where we've succeeded and where we have debased ourselves.
Is this your first elected office that you served in? And if not, what other offices have you served in and what were your roles there?
Well, in fact, at one point I was a state party officer for the Democratic Party, and I did a lot of campaigns. Managed some campaigns, some people you might recognize today. And then I ran for city council in Napa in 1992, and I was on the council for 5 years. And what did I do? Occasionally, I think it was, today I'll look back and go, oh, what a waste it was. And then I was driving down Walnut Street and looked at an affordable housing complex. And I was the 3rd person on a 3-2 vote and worked very hard for that. So I feel I did accomplish something on the council.
So as one of our new board trustees, what items would you like to focus on during the agenda of your term?
Well, David, this might be difficult to believe, but I would really like to focus on education. Instead of, eccentric behaviors and personnel and finance and all that. But here we are. So what I want to do is help get the district's finances squared away, and I think we're moving in the right direction there. I'm very happy about some changes that are going to be made. And I would like to work on education issues. I am a former teacher. I have been a bit of a critic of the shiny bright objects and the notion that technology will solve all of our problems. I do think that we've done a great deal to enrich the tech sector there, and I know that a lot of parents are concerned about getting their kids off screens. So I think it would be great if we could go back and revisit our library situation, have a real librarian in the schools like my children had when they were attending the Napa Valley Unified. And I'm a very big fan of real paper books, which are cheaper in the long
So,
run.
what are some positive things that you've seen in our school district so far, and what are some things that we need to improve on based on your view?
Okay, well, my view is I have an advantage in my view because I taught 11th graders and 12th graders towards the end of my career, and so I saw students as they'd matured and they'd, moved on, a path somewhere. And it's very gratifying. And I realized as I was writing letters of recommendation for students for, jobs, scholarships, college admission, that one of the strengths of our school district is that every student is going to meet a teacher that he or she can connect with. We'll have a teacher who knows him or her, can help that person, understands that person. And I know it's strange, but these days, we often see more of the students, in our classes than their parents do. I mean, they're at school for a big part of the day. So I think that's a huge strength of our district. Another strength is that we have a lot of really good teachers here. And it's the kind of job where, if you last, it's because you actually have an avocation, a real love for the job. So that's good. And we're also able to take students. I mean, you can look at our SAT scores, which can always be improved, but still, are solid. You can see how we've taken students who don't come from a background of going to college and help them become scholars. And I'm thinking of a student of mine who's graduating with all sorts of scholarships from on May 12th from UC Merced. If you told her when she was in middle school, you are going to be a graduation speaker at Napa High School and you're going to go to college, she would have said, you're crazy, you're crazy. But nope, it happened. And I think that's a terrific strength. And it shows the strength of the public schools. Everybody can come, everybody's welcome. We're willing to work with all of you to help you achieve. What can we do better? There are plenty of things. I'd like to see a little bit more equity in maintenance. We talked about that here. It's not fair for some schools to be real show places and other schools to be extremely run down, decrepit, shameful. Is that enough? The famous D7. We've got some work to do there. And I've said earlier that I think that certain aspects of academics could use a little encouragement. I know that there's been a lot of criticism of the Common Core, but one thing about the Common Core that I appreciated was it called for reading and writing across the curriculum. And we do need to emphasize writing, really emphasize writing in our schools.
Is there anything else you'd like to add about yourself or Napa Valley Unified School District that we haven't covered yet through the questions?
Yes. I really enjoyed working for the Napa Valley Unified School District. Almost every day I was thrilled about going to work and pretty much happy when I went home. So it is an honor to be on the school board now. It's a little bit strange seeing some of my friends from school and I'm in a different capacity, but it's great. I love it. And I feel sort of like I never left the place. And it's really an important job. I'm almost sorry nobody ran against me for this position because I do think teaching is the most important job. We are preparing the citizens of tomorrow, and I really want the world to appreciate what we do here.